They killed Gaddafi, they killed Thomas Sankara, they killed Patrice Lumumba. And now we ask, what are you waiting for, Africa? This is not a conspiracy theory. It is a pattern. A repeated deliberate destruction of African leaders who dared to challenge imperialism, who tried to free their nations from economic colonization, and who sought to give dignity to the African people. Today, a new generation watches. A new name rises, Ibrahim Traoré of Burkina Faso. A leader who speaks the language of sovereignty, of self-reliance, of anti-colonial justice. But history has taught us a bitter lesson. If Africa does not protect its own, no one will. This is not just a story of individuals. This is the story of a continent at war with foreign control, internal betrayal, and the legacy of colonization. A story of how power fears independence, and how Africa must wake up before history repeats itself. 1. Lumumba, the cost of independence. It began with a voice, strong, proud, defiant. In 1960, Patrice Lumumba became the first prime minister of an independent Congo. He gave a speech that shook the colonial world. At the independence ceremony, while Belgian King Baudouin praised the so-called civilizing mission of colonization, Lumumba stood up and told the truth. He spoke of slavery, forced labor, and humiliation. He said Congo's independence was not a gift, it was won by struggle, by blood. The West was furious. He had committed the cardinal sin of African politics. He told the truth and demanded sovereignty. Within months, Belgium, in collusion with Western powers and local collaborators, orchestrated his removal and execution. Lumumba was beaten, tortured, and finally assassinated. His body dissolved in acid. His voice silenced. But his legacy refused to die. Lumumba became a symbol of Africa's stolen future, of a leader who loved his people too much to be tolerated by the global order. 2. Thomas Sankara, the African Che Guevara. 20 years later, in the heart of West Africa, another leader emerged. Thomas Sankara became president of Burkina Faso in 1983 at the age of 33. A soldier, a revolutionary, and a visionary, he renamed the country from Upper Volta to Burkina Faso, the land of upright people. Sankara sold government luxury cars, cut the salaries of ministers, banned female genital mutilation, planted millions of trees, vaccinated millions of children, and championed women's rights. He refused World Bank loans. He said no to foreign aid. He pushed for African nations to reject debt repayments as illegitimate colonial theft. And for this, he was marked. In 1987, just 4 years into his presidency, he was assassinated in a coup led by his former friend Blaise Compaoré. Backed, many believe by France, Sankara's words still echo, "He who feeds you controls you." He wanted Africa to feed itself, to think for itself, to stand up, and for that, he was eliminated. 3. Muammar Gaddafi. From pariah to Pan-Africanist in North Africa, another figure loomed large. Muammar Gaddafi ruled Libya for over 4 decades. While often controversial and brutal in domestic politics, his Pan-African vision became more defined over time. Gaddafi proposed an African gold-backed currency to challenge the dollar and euro. He funded African infrastructure. He supported the African Union and envisioned a united military and economic bloc. He was a threat, not because of dictatorship, but because of independence. In 2011, NATO launched an air war against Libya under the pretext of humanitarian intervention. The West armed rebel groups, including extremist factions. The country descended into chaos. Gaddafi was captured, beaten, and killed, brutally and publicly. U.S. Secretary of State Hillary Clinton laughed on live TV. "We came, we saw, he died." Today, Libya is fractured. Slave markets operate openly. The state has collapsed. Gaddafi's Pan-African dreams died with him, or did they? 4 patterns of elimination: Lumumba, Sankara, Gaddafi. 3 men from different regions, different ideologies. But one thing in common: they challenge the global order that keeps Africa dependent. The West does not fear dictators, it fears independence. It fears leaders who reject the International Monetary Fund. It fears nations that want to control their own resources. It fears unity among African countries. Time and again, African leaders who obey foreign powers are rewarded with loans, praise and diplomatic immunity. But those who refuse, they are sanctioned, isolated, demonized, and often assassinated. And almost always, the hand that pulls the trigger is local. Foreign powers don't always need to send in troops. They just need a general, a minister, a brother turned betrayer. This is the colonial strategy continued by other means. Ibrahim Traoré, a new revolutionary rises in 2022. A new name entered this story. Ibrahim Traoré, a young army captain who led a popular coup in Burkina Faso, ousting a failed leadership that could not stop jihadist violence. But unlike many coups backed by foreign powers, Traoré's rise was welcomed by ordinary people. He spoke the language of Sankara. He condemned neo-colonialism. He demanded France remove its troops. He called for unity with Mali, Niger, and Guinea. He wore no designer suits. He rejected personal luxury. He stood in public rallies with the people, and that made him dangerous. The media began their usual script, calling him a dictator, questioning his legitimacy, accusing him of aligning with undesirable partners. The same narrative that was used against Sankara, against Lumumba, against Gaddafi. We know how this ends, unless something changes. 6. Africa's choice, memory or amnesia. Africa must choose. Do we learn from our past or repeat it? If Ibrahim Traoré falls to the same fate as his predecessors, we cannot say we were not warned. The people must protect their leaders, not blindly, not as gods, but as instruments of sovereignty. We must not allow foreign embassies to dictate our future. We must not allow internal traitors to sell us out for power or money. We must not allow our own silence to become complicity. Traoré may succeed. He may fail. That is not the point. The point is that Africa has the right to try, the right to choose its path, the right to reject dependency, the right to protect its young leaders from the old playbook of assassination and destabilization. 7. The time is. Now this is not just about Burkina Faso, Mali, Niger, Guinea. An entire belt of defiance is rising across West Africa. A movement to reject imperial control, a cry for dignity. But the clock is ticking. History shows us what happens next. Sanctions, smear campaigns, and then bullets. Africa, wake up, protect your leaders, build your own media, control your own narrative, defend your sovereignty. Do not wait until another revolutionary is buried. Do not wait until another voice is silenced. Do not let the dream of Sankara die again in the 21st century. Gaddafi warned us. Sankara warned us. Lumumba paid the price. Now, it is your turn, our turn, to refuse to be pawns in someone else's game. Africa, the world is watching. What will you do?